Okay, so next I wanted to talk to this traffic analysis report. So it actually did get a timestamp update. So there have been changes to this document. Worth noting, maybe one of the similarities between the original DEA is that the traffic study only studies the time window of kind of the build out of the original. So um, it it doesn't. Actually, it might be slightly updated, but if you remember in the schedule, even phase two said after 2030, right? That's estimated. So, I mean, if you believe the final EA, it's like even in best case, it might be. I mean, they could all be done in 2030, I guess, maybe, but it did sound like it was a phase build out, so you would think it might be 2030, 31, 30, 2032. So, um, it's almost as if this traffic study is not even projected maybe far enough to where the anticipated schedule might take the entire project. Okay, so I mean there are a few changes to this document. They added a couple of sections of multimodal travel. That was one of the requests from one of the agencies. So they did expand some of the details for maybe pedestrian access, bikes and stuff, which is great, fine. But to me, shockingly similar is the the vehicle for traffic volumes, everything. It's the exact same study, so they didn't do any additional traffic counts. Any additional. They're asked by DPP to do additional studies, analysis on intersections, but that was not updated in this traffic study. And again, just kind of to maybe refresh everyone's memory of maybe what happened back then. But this was a 2022 collect in April, and then they said, well, this data doesn't really match what projected historical data would show. We think that it's COVID-19, the after effects are lingering, and so um, we're gonna just increase it based on his. Essentially, we're going to use historical data, project it, and kind of use that. So I mean, they took counts, they did, but yet they massaged those counts based on historical data, and they said that that's because of lingering effects of COVID-19. So and additional social distancing, which is fine. Right? Oh, that's fine. That's fine for April of 22. That's totally fine. I guess I I'm here scratching my head because it's December of 2024, and I mean, is that too much to ask to like just count again? You could count in 24, right? I mean, and then you'd have the data. You don't have to say you wouldn't have to scratch your head and just use historical data and project it. You would have the data. So um, again, it's kind of uh, I don't know. It's curious to me. Even at a higher level, like okay, so we have the DEA published in late 22, and now the final EA it's 2 years later. So I mean, like what the, when you talk about existing traffic conditions, right? I mean, this is existing 22, right? According to this report. So it's like it's not current, right? Like right, based on I mean it's the end of 24. So kind of calls into question, right? The validity, right? I mean it's not current and it's not being projected far enough, right? Based on the extended build plan. So I don't know, that was shockingly similar to what we saw, given that time has passed and all that. Okay, one more shocking similarity that I wanted to kind of go over was this drainage section. So for all of the comments, asking for more clarity on the stormwater management, flooding risk, drainage. Uh, there was virtually nothing added to the final EA. So, I mean, even DPP right, requested additional information, specifics on the detention systems that they're planning, and there's no more than what was provided in the preliminary drainage assessment back in 22, which is prior to submission of the draft DEA. So there's no additional clarity on drainage, and they have not changed their stance, like as far as how much capacity they're going to try to protect against and that type of thing. Um, this is just a FEMA flood map saying that they're good because they're higher, their elevation, they're above the stream. So yeah, they're fine. They're not going to flood. Um, all of the water that currently is in this drainage ditch, but also any additional water runoff that gets added based on this development, it gets channelized, runs along here, comes down, comes down, comes down, turns right here, and it hits Manoa Stream right here. So yeah, they're fine, right? They're not going to flood, but any additional runoff comes down and it affects this large potential downstream flooding area. So again, it's not their problem, so they're good. Um, this is a drainage map. Again, this is the exact same map that was, in the DEA, but I just wanted to highlight this kind of point here. So for this thing, they have this basin discharge point existing catch basin city. So it's like all of the stuff from here just goes into this little black hole, and it's to them it's done. Over here they have these loose arrows, but then they talk about adding this dotted thing, which is a potential detention system. And again, DPP asked for more specifics about what that would look like, but there really isn't much more than what we already saw in the draft DA. And I just wanted to kind of match that up against this. So this is the city's stormwater system. So it's all of our storm drains, and how whatever. So this is Woodlawn Ditch, currently not classified as a stream. It was on old maps a stream bed, but currently classified as like a drain, a storm drain ditch. Okay. Um, there's another marked ditch. There's a wall along here, and it's just the way that it's just dirt or whatever, but it's naturally sloping down along this wall, so water is allowed to just kind of come down along the wall, and it makes it to this is a concretized like drain, like a embanked, it's actual. um, so the curious thing to me was like there are street drains, one of them being that dot on their storm map, for their triangle, but there's street drains here that come along a storm drain pipe and turn and actually just dump right here at this green square into this just dumps. It just dumps it into like on the dirt. It's a natural area. And currently, because it's all wooded, mostly natural area, then the water it can spread here, right? It can absorb. And if it's a lot of water, yeah, it makes its way down along this wall and it makes it to the actual, the drain. So, um, kind of going back to the picture, I mean, okay, I guess I have these little arrows saying that yeah, water's gonna come down here, but there's additional water that's right being dumped at this point from the street and from this catchment from the city. It comes out under the road here and dumps here. It's gonna interact with whatever if it's some detention basin they put here. That that water, so it's not just drainage from here that gets put there. There's also water coming off of this drain, which I haven't seen any in this assessment for this block, this whatever B2 block or whatever. Uh, I didn't see where there's like additional inlet, right? Because there is arguably an inlet because water from the street, other places are being dumped into this spot here, and it's forced along this path. So um, that wasn't really discussed at all in the drainage assessment. And in this picture, right, it's going to interact if you put some kind of detention basin right here. The additional water is coming down this pipe is going to interact with it. And again, DPP asked for additional clarity on the detention system, but none was given. So that was just another, I guess, shocking similarity. That's something that wasn't expanded on from between the DEA and the current final EA. Okay, so I think I'm gonna kind of close out this idea with some inconsistencies and a loss of clarity. Normally, when you go from a draft to a final, you're hoping that things get more, concrete and you have a better understanding of the project. I feel like in many cases, this final EA just kind of leaves more questions. There are some inconsistent things, some speculative statements that were introduced since the draft that kind of, at least to me, make me a little bit less confident. This is the this is in the final EA. This is the picture of the plan. And if you remember from my first video, they talked about this drainage ditch and how it's a hazard, right? And they cannot provide a public access because they don't want people walking near the ditch because I guess it's considered a hazard to them. But I mean, this courtyard number A, or right, this dotted, that fairly bright thing in the middle. It's like a highlight of this whole. It's the namesake of the place. It's this area that delineated that it bridges the woodlawn ditch, right? It's on both sides. It straddles. It's on both sides, and it's bounded by these bridges. There's three marked on these maps, pedestrian bridges, and they make loose reference to these pedestrian bridges. It comes up in the multimodal discussion where, residents on phases 3 and 4, they can walk across the pedestrian bridges to get to the bus stops that are up on East Manoa. So, um, you know, but yet it's a hazard that they don't want to allow the public nor residents, near the ditch because I guess it's not safe. But at the same time, they're gonna build 3 pedestrian bridges, and like the entire namesake area delineated on this design. It's right in the middle. It straddles, so they expect what is this? I thought they expect people to gather in this court, right? That's kind of like the whole, like, I don't know, isn't the whole point of that, of the community, idea? And then you'll have these bridges so you can go back and forth and you'll be here, but yet the actual the bank is a hazard. So it's kind of, to me, that's kind of inconsistent. I kind of, need a little bit more questions than answers there. Okay, so between the DEA and the FEA, again, they decided to reduce the number of parking, and so that creates this, in their mind, potential savings, more natural area can be saved, which is great, but uh, in this final EA, it's still very speculative. I mean, they're not, it's not actually analyzed, like, what is the improvements. There's a few vague statements, and here's one. It says, um, so property should be cleared of all the low quality macaranga trees. Then they added the sentence: the reduction in the parking, I guess, from the DEA, should enable an increase in the number of viable trees that can be preserved. Okay, so um, to me, that's somewhat speculative, right? And again, they're not going into any more detail on, it's just say should enable. It doesn't say what. Just to refresh everyone's memory, this is the tree canopy cover from the tree survey. This is East Manoa at the top, and when they say, "Oh, reduce the number of parking," let me show you the draft EA picture. In the draft EA, they had a parking lot here, and in the final EA, they took out this parking lot, and that's how they're saving on the parking. This building moves slightly over, I guess, into this little area, so this, I mean, it's slightly, but mainly the biggest difference is you gain back this green space over here. Okay, so which is great. Green space is great, right? Everyone loves green space. But then if you read that bullet before, it says that they're going to remove all of the macaranga trees. So okay, so this is that area, right? This is East Manoa, and of course this is a fisheye lens, so it doesn't have the same. There's a little skew here, but it's this section right here, right? That has the parking lot. So yeah, there's some that aren't marked for removal, maybe, right? But this middle area, it's a decent number of trees that are still called out to be removed. So it's not like, it's somewhat speculative, right? That it's going to improve the amount of trees that you're saving.